I'm calling this meeting of the Silver City Town Council to order. Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On behalf of the council, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. I'd like to welcome Chief Portillo here with us and the press. We'll begin by asking if there's any changes to the agenda. There being no changes, the next item on the agenda is council comments. First on the list is Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a few comments. People have asked me to tell the council, the mayor, and staff for allowing us to use the side-by-sides. So I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people. Thank you, guys. And they say that we're going to try very hard to be in compliance. And I know I have asked a couple of people, and I know some of the other guys also. So again, thank you for allowing us. I am going to have another town hall meeting with the SPIN program, and it's going to be a week from tomorrow, and it's going to be at the public library, and it's going to be from 4 to 6. And I have some information here in case you guys would be interested in seeing it. And I'm going to ask the Daily Press to see if they can put in some sort of invitation for people to go. And we did have one at the Knights of Columbus here a couple of weeks ago, and Councilor Cano was there, and it's going to be a touchy situation when it is brought up to the council. They want to do there at the Capilla, and there's a bunch of information that needs to be spread out to the constituents. So I will be going to the constituents there around the Capilla, and I will ask them to go. Please go to this meeting, because it's a very, very important meeting. And I asked some hard questions, and some of them weren't very good answers. But that's neither here nor there. But hopefully that people will understand that it needs to be done, and they need to know what exactly is going to be put there. And it sounds interesting, it sounds nice and all that, but I'll let the people decide on that. One thing that I have been noticing a lot is that, and I hate to say this, because we've been saying this for quite a while. There's too much, in my opinion, there's too much hatred here in amongst ourselves. We can put something on the paper and, in my opinion, demean other people. Why do we do that? You know, we live in a great country. We have a good council. Some of us agree with some things that are being done, some of us don't, but that's just the way it is. I just hope that the Daily Press and the news media won't print so much negativism on some of our subjects here. And people have a tendency to believe the paper rather than coming to the meetings. And if they come to the meetings, we've asked people to come to the meetings and you'll find out exactly what's going on. That way you can hear it from here. And we all make mistakes. The Daily Press makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But let's try and keep our negative comments to ourselves. If this is what we're teaching our younger generation, they're learning very well on how we act and how we react to things. And we shouldn't be like that. We should not be like that at all. If we don't like somebody, tell them face to face. Don't put on Facebook, don't put on the daily press, or on the news media. Tell the person. Communication is the best thing to do. Talk to them, one-on-one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ray. Councilor Amon Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to thank all the volunteers who came out for the District 2 Territorial Charter Volunteer Day on July 13th. We built a labyrinth, planted various pollinator plants, installed a bench, and had a pretty good time on a hot Saturday. I especially want to thank the town and the support of our town manager, Mr. Brown. I want to thank Gary Staley, who was just there when I was at 8 in the morning to get ready. Thank you, Gary. And a special thanks to Milton Perkins, who did his Eco Scout project by doing the design and starting the labyrinth. And he was there to explain to people all day what it was for. It was really wonderful. So thank you again, all of the volunteers who came out. The second thank you that I have tonight, Chief, is for our code enforcement community outreach officer, Manuel Yari, who worked to do some public education of a person this week about what's the difference between public and private when it comes to trying to claim a parking area that is on the public street. So he was able to educate that person that no, she couldn't get to have cars towed just because she didn't like people parking in front of her house. So I want to thank the officer for his education. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Beston.
Thank you, Mayor. So first I would like to say I'm sorry that I didn't get to go to the District 2 Volunteer Day, and I was unable to go to the Silver City Wine Festival, which I heard was really wonderful. I was a little busy that weekend, and I just wanted to mention that. I will have an announcement at the next meeting about the District 1 Territorial Charter Day. I'm working with the chief and with the assistant town manager, James Marshall, and hopefully some other folks to develop some traffic calming, an experiment in traffic calming that we hope that it might work on other streets in the municipality if it is successful in one of the streets in one of the areas that we have in District 1. So more about that later, but I can tell you that the date will be set sometime in late October, early to mid-November, so that we can do that. We don't want it to be too hot if we're out there painting or whatever it is that we decide to actually think that is going to work best. I also, along those lines, really want to encourage people to stop at stop signs and not to blast through red lights, since I've almost been hit 3 times with people. Apparently, thank goodness I know that you just have to count to 3 before you go through an intersection. And I would tell everybody to please do that, because there's a lot of people that just figure they can blast right through them. So I mean, I've said this, Councilor Kano has said this, I think every council member has said this up here. These are not suggestions. You're supposed to stop. And please do that. That will lessen traffic accidents. And in that same vein, if you see an emergency vehicle coming, please either get out of the lane or pull over as far to the right as you can if possible, and just stop. Do not think, oh, I better go through the intersection to get out of their way. They will get around you. They will figure it out. So, and I noticed that a lot of our emergency response vehicles, it doesn't matter which one, if they're officers, if they're the fire trucks, if they're the ambulance, you know, any of them, they are literally coming to a stop before they go through an intersection, because people are not mindful of what's going on around them. And you will want someone to rescue you if you are the one that's in the accident or having some event at home that you need to have. So have an officer or have someone there. So please be aware of your surroundings, and please don't try to beat them, because it just involves risk to you, other people, and also to our emergency personnel that are responding. So enough with the little lecture. I just do want to thank Mayor Ladner. I was lucky enough, I'm a Rotarian, and I got to hear him talk about all the wonderful things that's going on with the town, and with the street paving that's the chip and seal and fog seal that's going to happen in District 4, and people were really excited to find out all these really wonderful things, and he heaped a lot of praise on our staff, and I want to say thank you to them as well. You guys are fabulous. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Cano?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I just wanted to give Councilor Medicine some kudos for putting on an absolutely fabulous event at the WNMU Museum this couple of weeks ago. That's where she was, and instead of being at the Wine Fest, she was working really hard. You know, the WNMU Museum is a treasure, not just for our community, but for the entire world, and it's internationally known, and you've worked really hard to make it that way, and it's beautiful. And I know everyone who was there enjoyed it very much, so thank you for what you did for that. Last week was Latino Conservation Week. It was celebrated in the Gila Wilderness through several different events. The one that I want to highlight, though, is there was also a wild and scenic art show that started. There was an opening last week. It was curated by Simon Sotelo, who is a native of Silver City, and is sponsored by New Mexico Wild and Leyva and Ingalls Art downtown. It's still going on, so you can still see the art, and it's art, very different mediums, and it just recognizes the Gila Wilderness and how important it is to our area. So if you have a chance, check it out. There's some really beautiful art. And then just the last thing is that the District 4 Territorial Charter Day is, again, August 3rd. We're celebrating National Night Out. That's normally done on the first Tuesday of August, but we decided that Saturday might work better for our community, so that'll start at 4 o'clock at Golf Park. And having spoken to Chief Lambert, it looks like the fire department is ready to take on the police department in dodgeball. So everyone come out and see the battle of the badges and see which department prevails. This Copper Country Senior Olympics have also decided to partner with us, so they will be out there with some games for people to enjoy. And this is also being sponsored partially by the Hughes Fry House Mix 33 family too. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes of July 9, 2019 regular meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Amos Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the minutes of the regular town council meeting of July 9th, 2019.
Is there a second? Councilor Ray?
I'm sorry, I'll second that.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is public input. And I didn't see that anyone signed up. Is that still accurate? Okay. Then moving right along, next is reports. First, as a staff report, will be an update on the fireworks ordinance by Fire Chief Lambert. Chief Lambert?
Mayor, council members, 4th of July is over and fireworks have ceased, but there was a dispute this year, and I wanted to bring forth information for public education. There's a very specific ordinance in the town of Silver City as to when ground audible and aerial fireworks can be ignited. It does not fall back on the noise ordinance, although that may also be violated. The ordinance states that fireworks shall be permitted within the town limits during the period between June 30th and July 4th. and permitted hours of ignition shall be between 9 a.m. and 10 p.m., except on the 4th of July itself and weekend nights in that period, excluding Sundays, where ignition is allowed up until midnight. I only bring this to you for public education purposes. I know there was some confusion this year as to when fireworks were allowed to be ignited and when the noise ordinance or this particular ordinance went into effect. I will reiterate this presentation if this ordinance is still in effect next year before the 4th of July again. But I wanted to put to rest any dispute or any miscommunication as to what the actual statement in the town's ordinances were. Beyond that, yes, the fire department is ready to take on the police department in some dodgeball, and we'll be very happy to see you at National Night Out.
Any questions or comments for the chief? Councilor Bettison?
So, Chief, if I'm correct, it's actually fireworks may be sold and ignited within that period, within the corporate town limits.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, could you please go through the New Year's Day?
Okay,
That will be coming up.
Yes, ma'am. New Year's Day, they are allowable from December 28th through December 31st. The time frames again are 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., except for December 31st, where fireworks can be ignited through 1 a.m. on January 1st.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions for the chief? Chief, I would like to see maybe us go overboard with public announcements about that when New Year's comes up, and try to get the paper to give us some front page news about that.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll make sure that gets published. This year, we distributed flyers at the fireworks vendors' tents. They were gracious enough to include a copy of this ordinance and some safety precautions in their sales bags with every fireworks sale.
Thank you.
Some members don't pay attention to the paperwork.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, any other reports? In that case, we'll go to unfinished business. The first item, or the only item under unfinished business that requires action, is the approval/disapproval of ordinance number 1282, an ordinance amending chapter 22, article 2, smoking in public places, of the municipal code of the town of Silver City, New Mexico. I think Councilor Amon Smith will present the details of this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we talked about at the presentation of this NOI, this ordinance were to be passed by this council would incorporate components of a current state law, which was just signed into effect in April 2019. So the pertinent components of the state law are reflected in this ordinance, making it our own. It also becomes our own in that it reiterates that a community park and all now parks, trails, and open spaces, per a friendly amendment by one of my council colleagues, is included in this ordinance. So it means that there would be no smoking of any tobacco or cannabis products, and no vaping of any kinds of products in any kind of a building that is accessible by the public and used for public use. That does not just mean governmental buildings, it means restaurants and galleries and places where the public goes. And as well as that, this ordinance would mean that there would be no lighted or vaporizing utensils being used in any of the parks, open spaces, or trails in our town. I've received a number of comments from citizens who were happy about this ordinance because they had uncomfortable experiences with people who were smoking or vaping close to them. And I have received 2 comments from two citizens who were not happy because they are long-term smokers and didn't want to do with this. So I think the preponderance of citizen feedback, at least to me, was that people were very positive about that. And I think that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Councilor Kyle?
At the last week, when we first discussed this, under section 23, parentheses 12, it says any park, trail, open space of the town which has been designated and ordered by the town manager to be smoke-free area. I thought we had discussed removing by the town manager, and it hasn't been removed, so I'm wondering what's...
Councilor Kano, that has been removed.
Okay, then this copy that we got is not correct, so it'll need to be corrected before.
It has been corrected. The town clerk corrected it. But thank you for catching that again. She corrected it.
Any other questions or comments?
I do.
Councilor Ray?
Thank you for doing this. I just have a comment or a concern. I don't mind in the parks. I don't mind at all because there's too many people are too close together. And secondhand smoke, I don't smoke. And secondhand smoke is bad. Vaping and all that. I do have concerns in an open space, like in Boston Hill or whatever. There's a lot of open space that's air. It's got a lot of air, and there's not too many people. And I know this is a hard situation, and if you were to change that, I would gladly support it on your NOI for dog park. But on open spaces, I can't, and I've gotten some comments also, and I have to agree with that. And if you change it, I'll support it. But if you don't, I can't support the open spaces. I can't, because it's open and there's a lot of open space. When the park, it's too enclosed.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Bedison?
Thank you, Mayor. So apparently from the email you sent a little bit later today, you said that the proper ordinance, the amendment was included on what was provided online. On the public side, yeah. So they do have the one that was amended at the last council meeting when it was an NOI.
Yeah. After the last council meeting, I did post the correct amended NOI on the website. But when I did the packet last week, for some reason I grabbed the wrong document and put it in your packet. Councilor Amon Smith noticed that and told me, and I fixed it this morning. So it was corrected. I sent it on your Google Drive and email today.
Thank you, and then I also wanted to comment that I've had a lot of positive feedback about this because with this particular addition that was suggested by Councilor Kano, and a lot of people consider the park to be open space, and they just, the wind changes, so the next thing you know, you've got a lot of smoke in your face. So open spaces, whether it's a park or it's a trail or it's open space, it's all open space, and people consider that all, air for everyone. But I mean, I've experienced it over the years. I think Councilor Kano had said at the last, when we looked at the NOI, and I agreed with her that I've had a lot of people say, I wish you could tell them not to smoke, because the wind changes and boom, I was sitting there, everything was great, I was enjoying the Blues Festival, people came in and started smoking, and I was just inundated with it, and I had to move because I couldn't breathe anymore. So I would just take that into consideration. I did receive 2 comments from long-term smokers that they consider this discrimination, and I understand that you do feel that it's discrimination, but I think that the hazards for people's health of secondhand smoke are well known now, and that it can happen in open spaces, it can happen in parks, it can happen on trails. That can affect people, and especially if they're so allergic to whatever it is that might be smoked. Because there's menthol cigarettes, there's menthol flavored, vaping, and some people are actually quite allergic to cannabis. Because it is actually a form of, it's basically okay, so I'm not doing a double entendre. It basically is a weed. So I just want to make sure people know that I know that, because many people I know are allergic to it as well. So I think I'm supportive of this amendment that was made at the last meeting, and I do think it's critical to do that for the health, safety, and welfare of the residents and the people that visit us. So thank you.
Thank you. I can certainly see Councilor Ray's point about open space and being lots of air out there. But I think another factor that's important is one that I came to realize firsthand. I hike quite a bit, and several times a week I hike up to the top of Gomez Peak. Several weeks ago I was about halfway up, and I smelled some smoke, and I looked down off the trail, and there was some smoke coming out of a little clump of bushes, and I went down to look, and it was a cigarette that was smoldering in those bushes. And that would be one of my major concerns, is the fire hazard. I don't know if the chief would like to comment on that. Do you see that as fire hazard, Chief, someone throwing a lighted cigarette?
Not so much this year, but in previous years we have responded to numerous wildland or brush fires that have been started by cigarettes. So yes, it is a concern.
Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments from the general public? Do I hear a motion?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Smith?
Thank you. I move to approve of ordinance number 1282, an ordinance amending Chapter 22, Article 2, Smoking in Public Places of the Municipal Code of the Town of Silver City, New Mexico.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor?
Council Bass?
I'll second the motion as stated.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Ann.
Councilor Vincent?
Aye.
Councilor Amy Smith?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Nay.
Councilor Kano?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-1. Under new business, the first item is the approval/disapproval of a reimbursement agreement for the library solar project. Mr. Brown, will you bring this forward?
Mayor and Council, this is an agreement that we've been working on with the Silver City Library Foundation. Mr. Dare is the library director, will talk a little bit about it, and then I'll jump in when necessary. Go ahead. Yes, press the button.
Hello, Mayor, Council. The Library Foundation is a nonprofit that supports the library, and they have agreed, using donated money, to approve a series of renovation projects for the library. And part of that series is to make the building more energy efficient. They've approved essentially 5 projects at this point. And one of them this past Saturday, the replacement of windows or more energy efficient windows occurred this past Saturday. And the goal of this is to essentially significantly reduce the power bill for the library. On average, the library's power bill runs about $7,200 a year. And I wouldn't say that we're going to eliminate everything, but we're going to be really, really close with these projects. And so the The purpose of the agreement, though, is the solar project itself is going to run approximately $65,000. And the reimbursement agreement is for the town to reimburse that $65,000 over time back to the foundation so that it can be reinvested into the library. On the short term, if there's any power increases or rate increases by P&M, the energy savings that we're going to have are going to offset that. So on the short term, the town's going to save money. And on the long term, once the foundation is completely reimbursed, again, the town's going to save a significant amount of money from the reduction of the yearly power bill for the library.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Dare? Councilor?
Mr. Brown?
Oh, wait. Any questions or comments from Mr. Dare? Thank you.
Mayor and Council, the electric bill is for the library is all paid out of the general fund, so there will be a savings over time, a direct savings over time to the general fund by doing this project. We will get avoided cost savings through the offset of the avoid any future rate increases. And we are not paying any interest on this agreement. We are just reimbursing the set amount to the Library Foundation, and the sole purpose that the Library Foundation is in existence is for the benefit of the library. So everything we put back into the foundation will be put back into the library. So with that, and all of this project will be overseen by town staff, because it is a town property. It'll go through all the permitting processes, everything. And Ken has done an excellent job doing all the background work for all these projects. And I really appreciate the Library Foundation being willing to make these large investments into the library.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Brown? Councilor Edison?
I just want to say that I really appreciate the library director and the town working on this together, and thank you and kudos to the Library Foundation. They're really thinking positively about the renovations that they can do that will enhance not only the library for the public's use, but also for savings in the long run in terms of electricity and other things. So I'm thankful for the forward thinking, and thank you for all the work that you put into it, as well as town staff.
Any other questions or comments? Do I hear a motion? Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve a reimbursement agreement for the library solar project.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Councilor Khanna?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that motion as stated.
Okay, motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next item is 11B, the approval/disapproval of notice of intent, ordinance number 1283, and ordinance amending Chapter 40, solid waste and recyclable materials, Section 40-47, B2C of the Code of Ordinances, the Town of Silver City. Again, Mr. Brown?
Mayor and Council, the reason that we're bringing this forward is because we've been negotiating for solid waste services. And initially, when this ordinance was put into place, I don't think that there was much thought put into the fact that we might actually contract out at some point. But because we've been going through these negotiations, a 30-day termination clause in a contract of this size will not work for anybody, neither side, because of the huge capital costs that are required, startup and everything. It's going to take a lot longer than 30 days to start up. And so with this, we're proposing changing the ordinance so that we can negotiate a term beneficial to both sides. And that is the only change to the code.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Brown? Any questions or comments from the general public? Do I hear a motion? Councilor Amos Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve notice of intent ordinance number 1283, and ordinance amending Chapter 40, solid waste and recyclable materials, Section 40-47B2C of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Silver City.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilor Benson?
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion stated.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comments or discussion from the council? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next item is 11C, the approval/disapproval of resolution number 19-26, a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract between the town and Universal Waste Systems, LLC, for the collection, transport, and disposal of solid waste and recyclables. Mr. Brown?
Mayor and Council, as you know, we've been struggling with the solid waste collection services for the last couple of years. This has been brought up for multiple reasons. One of the biggest is the fact that with the economy as strong as it's been a big struggle trying to compete for employees, with skilled employees, such as CDL drivers, as well as mechanics. The mechanics part of it has actually been a part of the issue that we've been faced with for the last 2 years. And so, we purchased the new equipment so that we could start the curbside recycling program. Everything worked well until we started to have some retirements in the sanitation, in the city shop, at the city shop. And when we tried to replace some of our mechanics that had experience with diesel, heavy equipment, it hasn't been very easy to find replacements for that. And so over the past 2 years, we've been struggling maintaining, especially our older trucks. And so because of that, because of the old trucks that we had, the lack of qualified mechanics to maintain them properly has put stress on the entire city shop. And so with that, we've been struggling to keep up with the maintenance for the equipment for all the other departments. I think the police department and the fire department are the first to sit here and support contracting out this program because of all the stress it's put on all of the city services throughout the town. We've also struggled to hire good CDL drivers because it's hard to compete with the pay with both the mines and all the contracting, all the work that's going on throughout our community. Right now, we start a truck driver around $12 an hour, but it costs us almost double that for a sanitation driver, because we'll start them out at $12 an hour. We add on another 18% for PERA, 2% for retiree health, so that's another 20% that it costs us. And then once you put the benefit package on top of that, the benefit package alone by itself can cost an additional $24,000 a year. So just with the benefits, we've already doubled the cost of a sanitation driver because of the benefit package that is provided by the town. Now, a contractor doesn't have those issues. I've been working with Universal Waste Systems for a few months and looking at the benefits of contracting out the services. Is the fact is they don't have to provide the big benefit package that we provide, so they're able to compete with the mine and the other contractors in the area for qualified employees. And so that's why we've moved in this direction. is because we just can't do the job properly and adequately internally. And so that's why we've been looking externally. I've been working with Universal Waste Systems for the last few months, and, they are based out of California. They do have, I believe, 6 communities, counties and communities in New Mexico that they work with already. I've only got good references about them. And yes, we are going to lay off a few employees. We've got 7 employees in the sanitation department right now. 2 of them are vested in the retirement program. You have to work with the town for at least 5 years before you're vested. And we have 2 employees. The rest of them are 2 years or less. And so those remaining 5 will be laid off if this is approved. And then they will have first priority to apply for the contractor to continue working for the sanitation services. And with that, I'll allow Reagan Vaughn to go ahead and make a presentation, and present the rest of your...
When y'all come up, would you please identify yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mayor, members of the council, for allowing us the opportunity to give you a brief overview of the proposed integrated municipal solid waste program. I'd like to start off with introductions. This is Mark Blackburn. He is the president of Universal Waste Systems Incorporated. Behind me is Mitch Blackburn. He's the director of operations in New Mexico. And I'm Reagan Vaughn. I'm the director of governmental affairs. And so we'd like to go ahead and get started. We have a few slides here, just providing a brief overview of what's been proposed. First of all, why outsource to begin with? Basically, when a public entity determines that outsourcing is an option, it has to do with benefits, not only to local government, but to residents. And so what we've done is target 4 of the what we consider to be the most important of those benefits, and I'd like to just go over each of those separately. One of the main benefits to the local government is the realization of the cost savings and the ability to redirect your existing revenue to other operations. In terms of your sanitation department, the town will realize significant savings operationally. No longer will you have to be paying the wages and benefits of your employees that are in this department. You will no longer have the extensive maintenance and repair costs. You'll no longer be paying your fuel costs associated with your trash collection. With this particular contract, you'll also have a cost savings in what you were paying the Southwest Solid Waste Authority for your downtown collections. You'll no longer have to be seeking funding for your capital purchases in terms of your equipment and your trucks, your poly carts and your bins. And finally, under the terms of this contract, you'll no longer have your debt service that you've been carrying for the equipment that was purchased in the last few years. Another big component of privatization is the transfer of risk. By privatizing, you will no longer carry the insurance burden that you currently carry, and the associated liability of operations in the field will be greatly lessened. We bring a $250,000 performance bond to the table. We carry general liability insurance in excess of $20 million. And so, in the end result, you have reduced risk and liability, but while maintaining municipal control of your rates and of the services provided. Okay, referencing those services, Universal feels like we can offer just the highest standard of service, as this company has spent the last 3 decades refining our operations. So we provide efficient residential and commercial collections. We provide a live answer customer service line to address all customer service questions immediately. And the programs that we offer are customized to meet the needs of the community. So under the terms of this contract, we're looking at residential and commercial collection, a bulk item program, etc. But we also have the capacity in the future. Of course, should the recycling market come back, we'll be happy to expand our services to include recyclables. We're also very skilled and able to offer a lot of community-based services, including youth programs, illegal dump abatement programs, et cetera, should that become, something that the council would like to prioritize. The economic development component, that is, we will pay local gross receipts taxes. We pledge to hire locally. Across the board, our compensation packages are always industry high. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's very important for us to retain employees and to provide a positive place to work for employees to be able to support their families. Our packages also include full benefits and a 401k. We'll purchase locally, including our fuel, our tires, and our parts, and we'll have a local equipment yard. And finally, this contract does include a 2-year price guarantee. So the price that is negotiated between the town of Silver City and Universal Waste will remain in place for 2 years. At the end of the second year, there'd be an analysis on the number of accounts served, and then depending upon the percentage, anything over 2% or under 2%, the contract would be adjusted accordingly. After the end of the third year and every year thereafter, there would be simply an analysis of fuel costs and a consideration of the industry consumer price index that might affect the contract either up or down. Okay, just a little bit about the company. The mission of Universal Waste Systems of New Mexico, we exist to provide outstanding quality waste stream solutions for a clean and healthy environment for the communities we serve by applying innovative solutions to the challenges of today and tomorrow. So we know that there's always going to be trash, but how we manage that trash and how we teach the community to manage that trash is something that's very important to us. This is a full-service solid waste company that's been providing these services since 1986. It's completely a family-owned business, and in such, it's a family that understands the bottoms-up grassroots development of a business. Currently, we service over 10,000 customers weekly in New Mexico, over 200,000 throughout our combined operations. We operate in 7 New Mexico counties and again throughout Southern California. Currently, we have 3 New Mexico offices. Our headquarters are in Albuquerque. We also have offices in Las Lunas and in Jemez Springs. We have exclusive franchise agreements in the unincorporated areas of Sandoval County and Valencia County. And we are an industry leader in technologies. In California, there's been a lot of zero waste mandates brought forth, and so it's been on this company to learn how to develop technologies to satisfy those zero waste mandates, and that knowledge will allow us to bring those ideas to New Mexico, and we'd be happy to share those with you at a future time. Okay, just an overview of our collections. We propose residential collection of solid waste that would be done on a weekly basis. We have an ongoing polycart maintenance and repair program that just continues throughout the course of our operations. If we get a report that a container needs to be repaired or replaced, or if our drivers notice that there's damage, we certainly will not allow the community to have broken, unsightly, or unsafe equipment on their property. We provide free rollout service to our elderly or handicapped or special needs residents through our special assistance program, and we also have a on-demand bulky item collection program that will be exactly the same as what y'all currently provide to your residents. Our commercial collection will be based upon the needs of the individual business. It's a full-service commercial collection process. It's customized to meet our customers' needs. So we are happy to offer free on-site consultations with the businesses in the town to make sure that they have the most efficient and appropriately sized container, so they're not overpaying or they're not having to increase the frequency of their service. We have capacities for front load, rear load, and side load trucks, and we will also provide a no-cost waste collection for town-owned facilities. The disposal will continue as you currently do with the town paying the Southwest Solid Waste Authority for the disposal of any MSW collected under the terms of this contract. With regard to equipment, Universal Waste proposes to purchase all of your existing equipment, including the 5 trucks listed up here on the slide. We also propose to purchase all of your containers and your polycarts, with the exception of the 300-gallon recyclable containers that are at your businesses. We will provide very late model trucks to service the area, and we offer 25% backup fleet at all times should we have a truck go down. We'll have one that we can bring right up into rotation to make sure that there's no delay in services. And we feel like something that we're very proud of is that we size our trucks to meet the needs of the community we're serving. So if we're serving like a smaller downtown, like your downtown area, we would not do that in a standardized truck. We have the ability to bring in a little rear loader that can navigate those streets easily, and and it's also better, when reducing wear and tear on your streets. Universal Waste has a Safety First, Safety Always initiative. All of our trucks are equipped with a Third Eye digital fleet management system, and so this system is specifically designed for the refuse industry, and it includes 360-degree cameras. We have real-time GPS tracking and remote monitoring of all of those. And so we can, if there are any issues, we can see exactly what happened. And, Mark, do you have anything to say?
Right. Yes.
Okay. And so this is some of the latest technology available to the industry, and it'll be equipped on 100% of our trucks on the road. With regard to employees, we stand behind the statement that we don't offer our employees a job, we offer them a career. Our goal is long-term employees. We feel that employee longevity is conducive to building stronger customer relationships in the areas they serve. It provides operational continuity. These employees become invested in our community mission. Of course, they will receive increasing compensation the longer they're with the company, and they reduce the overhead costs and liability of new hires and training and that entire process. We will offer the 5 employees that are currently working for the town of Silver City positions with our company. Basically, they'll just have to go through the same pre-hire due diligence that we do with every employee hired. Our compensation packages consistently exceed industry standards, and so we feel like that we'll be able to offer a compensation package that's competitive within the region. And again, we offer comprehensive family benefit packages, including 401k. Our Safety First, Safety Always initiative extends to employees. We use the Smith System Driver Institute. Every employee out in the field receives weekly training. They have to complete a weekly course every single week of their employment that deals with various safety issues. And that's 100% mandated by the company and monitored by, we have a special safety department that monitors compliance with this. We are 100% OSHA compliant. We have pre-employment due diligence. We do our background checks, our physicals, our drug screens, of course. We have ongoing monitoring of CDL licenses, and of course we do our random drug and alcohol testing and post-incident testing. With regard to the billing, customer service, and reporting components, so the town of Silver City will retain signing up new accounts and the billing operations. We will work with the town closely to, they'll let us know when a new account is signed up or an old account needs to be deactivated. And then what we'll be doing is providing the customer service component. So y'all will no longer be receiving the service-related calls that come with trash collection, a late set out, a miss, someone needing a bulky call. We'll take all of those and handle those for you. We have a highly trained CSR team that has industry expertise. And just to kind of give a local component, one of our CSRs actually grew up and was raised here in Silver City. And I myself grew up in Deming and worked for Luna County for 15 years. And so I'm very familiar with the area in working with the county, the town, and the COG with regard to Correcaminos and, you know, some of the regional economic development initiatives, domestic violence, juvenile justice. And so we know there's people on our team that definitely know the area and are very familiar with, you know, how things are done in rural southern New Mexico. Reporting will be also our responsibility. We'll provide monthly reports to the town manager regarding a whole series of statistics, including monthly collections, the number of late set-outs, overloaded containers, missed collections, villages, etc. Any other information that either the manager or y'all would like to see, we'll be happy to provide. And then just over here in the bottom right corner is just our customer service protocol. And this is what our service representatives are trained to follow at all times. And finally, with regard to the mobilization, transition, and implementation, UWS is extremely experienced in transitioning into new communities and has developed a very successful methodology, typically with a contract with a start date that is so soon. Some of these may run concurrently, but a mobilization will be immediate. It's our job to secure an equipment yard and shop. We'll acquire our necessary equipment. We'll hire and start training our employees. We'll work with the town for the transition of the customer info, and then also work with the town to help develop any customer outreach or information programs that will need to be disseminated within the next month. In terms of transition, of course, a lot of that is administrative. We will be uploading the software and uploading your data into our software, actually. We'll be assisting with customer outreach. We'll develop our local supply resources, and we'll learn and evaluate the routes. And that, as I was talking earlier about what size trucks we're going to put on the road, that route evaluation will really help us to determine how we can best serve the residents and the town in that effort. And finally, this results in implementation, which would occur on or about the first week of September. So we'd like to thank you very much again for this opportunity. Silver City is such a beautiful community, and we look forward to being a productive partner and supporting your sanitation goals, your beautification goals, your Cosmo Mosque initiatives, and anything else that you'd like us to partner with. We're certainly open to considering any and all ideas. And thank you, Mr. Brown, for the opportunity. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councilor Kano.
You're talking about safety, things like the cameras and that. Do you also monitor speed?
Yes, we do. The camera system is called Third Eye. It has 3 cameras minimum. We put 5 on most trucks. So we can watch what the truck's doing. We monitor the driver, he's not wearing a seatbelt, or if he's speeding. Definitely speed is a huge thing. This is kind of new. We've been, I think, about 8 months in. We've probably had 5 or 6 people that have run into our trucks, and then normally would say, oh, your truck ran a red light or hit us. And so it kind of protects us, but it also protects if our drivers do make a mistake, it's obvious that they did, and we have to be responsible for it. But it is safe, and the safety is a huge thing for us in any community. We want our employees and our drivers to be safe, but we want to watch for the kids and we want to watch for people. And in this business, you're backing, you're moving forward constantly, and that's just a really big deal for us. So it will be on all our trucks, including our supervisors' trucks. Everybody will have it.
Councilor Edison.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure who to direct it to, so it may be that Mr. Brown will have to answer some of the questions. So one of the things that I wanted to first point out was that you mentioned privatization. This is actually contracted services. We're not we're not selling you, this is a contracted service that this town does control. It's different than selling everything to you and then it's privatized. So I've had a number of people say that they were concerned about privatization. I can't say the word tonight. And I've explained to them that these are contractual services. This is a contract between the town and the company. So I just wanted to clarify that for the public. Okay.
The town ultimately has full control of what ends up happening.
Correct, and I wanted to make sure that was because of the first slide that used the word. So a couple questions maybe to Mr. Brown are, with a town bill, our residents will still be able to take things to a landfill?
Yes.
Up to the 1 ton limit?
Up to the 1 ton, yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. I was asked about that. I was also asked about how does this affect the fact that we have already said that you can use your current recycling carts for back trash, but when they get damaged, we will not replace them.
It will stay exactly as stated.
As we stated.
Yes.
And then the third question is there a future option, well, I know this is for 6 years, that if recycling markets do return, that we could go back and discuss this if this is approved with the company for recycling, since I know that the services you provide in Southern California, there's a lot of recycling there.
And that was when we made the decision to stop recycling, we were already talking to them.
Okay.
So when we made that decision, we discussed that entirely with them, that there's a possibility, hopefully a very good possibility, that we will go back to the curbside recycling. So they're open to work that out when it happens, and they're fully on board to move in that direction.
Okay. You have answered all my questions. Thank you.
I've got a couple things that I do want to say. To the residential customer, you will see no change at all. The only time that you, as a residential customer, that you might see a change is that we will be working with them to do audits on the residential accounts. And for instance, if you're paying for a 35-gallon container and you've got a 35-gallon container there when they go pick it up, plus you've got 2 95-gallon containers, you're going to start paying for 3 95-gallon containers plus your 35-gallon container. So you will pay for what you're throwing. You won't pay for the additional green recycle, any trash that's in the green recycle container. But if you have multiple blue containers that you're not currently paying for right now, you will start paying for them. And there are quite a few homes that, especially on the rental side, where renters have left, then they've started up a new service. They come and they get a new container, and then they still have the old one. So they're using both of them. There's a lot of instances where a renter will move out of a home, and the neighbor will go and borrow their container as well. And that's happened quite a bit. And so those are some situations where we're not raising their rates, but they are going to start paying for what they're throwing, as according to the ordinance. And so that's the only change that I would really see on the residential side. On the commercial side, they will be going out before they start and making sure that their current service is adequate, because we did say we were going to stop the single stream recycling for both residential and commercial. Last week, the Solid Waste Authority Board voted to allow the Solid Waste Authority to continue to pick up corrugated cardboard at the commercial accounts. So that is the reason that we're not selling the green 300-gallon tubs to them, is because the Solid Waste Authority is going to use them. And that'll be something that's worked out between the commercial accounts and the Solid Waste Authority. That is a free service. We figured out that the cardboard that is collected will be sufficient to offset the cost of collecting it. And so although they will not be making a profit off of it, they will be diverting waste from the landfill. And so we'll be continue to do that. The total monthly cost to the town is $125,000 a month for this service, plus proceeds taxes. That ends up being $1.62 million a year for the service. Total revenues generated for the solid sanitation fund was $2.3 million, a little over $2.3 million. So you've got the collection cost, 1.62 million, 400,000 for solid waste authority cost, so it's $2 million. So we've got around $300,000 that we'll still be using, because we still have some administrative costs in-house, which will be the cost of billing some of the finance department costs, because we do have to work with that and everything. And so we'll split a little bit of those costs. But the remainder of the revenues generated in the sanitation fund will remain in the sanitation fund. As far as the equipment that we currently own, we do have debt service on it, and we owe for a balance of 3 years. They will be giving us a credit of $10,000 a month, so $120,000 towards our debt service. So we will be paid off in 3 years with our debt service. I believe it's $127,000. Our debt service will be paid off in 3 years, yet they still will be paying us for I think it's 60 months, so it's 5 years that they'll continue to pay us. So we'll be getting credit for 2 years past what we're paying on the debt service. We will be saving on the fact that we will not be having to replace the containers. That will be their responsibility, according to the contract. And so we won't have to order new containers and all that stuff as we've been doing. And with that, I can't think of any.
Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Barnes, so our rates are going to stay the same?
Yes.
So if the rates change, you and the NT are going to discuss what is...
Well, as you saw, it'll stay the same for the first 2 years.
Okay.
On year 2, we will sit down and evaluate, has the amount of accounts increased more than 2% or decreased more than 2%. If it's increased by more than 2%, then the rate that they charge us will go up by that percentage. If it's 2.5%, say, our rate will go up 2.5%. If it goes down 2.5%, our rate will decrease 2.5%. And then from there, the following year, we'll use a consumer price index as well as the cost of fuel and all those types of things. So in future years. And then year 4, we sit down and evaluate the program, and that's when the town will be responsible for extending the contract for another 4 years. What their intent is they've got the life of the equipment is about, what, 5 years?
Yeah, 5.
5 years. And so they will have to start replacing equipment every 5 years. So in year 4, they would like to have notice that, are we going to need to start replacing equipment for another 4 or 5 years? And that's the intent of doing it after 4 years rather than at the end of the contract.
Councilor Madison?
So that we would still follow where you would provide us with the budget adjustments as we do normally under the ordinance.
Yes.
So that whether we have to increase it or whatever we have to do as we've already done in our ordinance.
Yes.
And
Yes, and what just like what happens, what we're going to do it tonight, is that when the budget is approved, the rates are approved at the same time.
Right.
And so that's where we will have had these discussions long before we bring the budget to you. And once we start talking budget, like in April, I'll let you know we're looking at a rate increase for this next year to be included in the budget.
Like we do now.
Like we do now, yes.
So
I just want to remind everybody, we haven't raised rates in approximately 4 years. And we're not looking at least for another 2 years to raise rates. So that's 6 years. So I think that's pretty good.
I did have one last question. So the one I forgot to ask was the vested employees. Are they going to remain with the town?
Yes, we have budgeted 2 extra employees in the Public Works Department for those 2 employees.
And they'll be retrained, or they're supposed to be used as needed? Okay, great, thank you.
Councilman Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a series of questions that citizens asked me too. And thank you, Mr. Brown, you have answered all except a couple. And that is, and this is probably an operation question, but a couple of citizens asked me if there were any new requirements coming down the pike for putting their trash in the carts. They specifically asked about having to bag things like small sticks and yard clippings. Right now, they should put them in over the bags. So are there going to be any foreseeable changes to how people load their own carts?
Thank you for the question. Typically, we do not require, and it's not in your ordinance, I believe, that trash be bagged. However, we do encourage it. We encourage it for several reasons. This is New Mexico. We get our spring wind. Unbagged trash tends to blow. You know, when our automated truck is lifting and dumping, it puts the lid right down in there, but there's always a chance that a gust of wind is going to catch a piece of loose trash and blow it out, and we hate to contribute to any sort of litter. So we always encourage our residents to please bag your trash when you can. Grass clippings, again, are not required to be bagged, but what we found is that they can the moisture in them can cause them to clump and prevent the cart from emptying fully. So again, we always encourage residents to, if they have the ability to bag anything, to do so, because it leaves it's a cleaner disposal, and it also helps prevent any issues with regards to service of the cart not emptying fully or with litter escaping.
Yeah, the avid conversation I had with a group of people was the concern about excess use of plastic for bagging versus the potential of leaves flowing out onto the street. So they were much more in favor of leaves flowing out on the street.
We don't mind leaves.
I agree with them.
Excess plastic going into the landfill.
Yep.
One of the questions that they had was about, and I think Mr. Brown will talk about this, about is there any possibility of being able to see the accounts online so that they're tracking things like, gosh, it looks like I said that I missed something, but they say it got picked up. So, Mr. Brown?
They do have the ability with the camera system to see if the containers are out on the street when they say they're out on the street. That's the intent of the cameras and all that stuff. I think
Yeah, the other question was, can I look online?
Oh, yeah.
Rather than the car.
Right now, we do not have the ability to access your account online. But like I told you at our last meeting, is that a month ago, we did sign our agreement with our current software company, it's Superior. And so we're going to upgrade all of our current accounting software, which will include online access to the accounts.
Okay, good. So that is coming eventually?
Yes, I think we're looking around the third quarter of fiscal 2020, which would be April 2020, somewhere around there.
One final question, and that is that one of the things that I was really interested in reading and speaking with Mr. Brown was this idea of auditing and tracking data better about, gosh, these are broken, these are overloads, these are missed. So can you speak briefly about how your drivers collect all those data? As an old operations person, I cannot help myself.
Mitch is Director of Operations, and so he's the one that trains our drivers to really be aware of what they're seeing. And
some of us really like data in this town. So.
Yeah, so all our drivers are trained as they're going down the street. We like to be a partner in the community. So a big thing for us is we like to look out and help neighbors. You know, people are going to be on vacation. We also look, just keep an eye on people's houses. But yeah, they're trained. If there's any damage to any kind of cart, it's documented on their route sheets, and it's addressed when they get in every day.
Okay, so it's a route sheet, it's not like a mobile device where it's...
Yeah, it'll be on a route sheet, and they'll document it, and they'll get with management at the end of the day, and we get new carts ready and delivered within about 24 hours.
Great, I was fantasizing about a live data set, but something that's not so.
Well, that's close. We do that on commercial now. We have
Commercial.
some computer systems where the whole route's within the computer, and every time you service the account, you hit a button, it automatically takes a picture that you serviced it, what time you were there. Somebody has an overloaded bin, it'll take a picture. It gets sent to our database, and then we call the customer. We don't wait for the customer to call the city or the town. We call them, say, excuse me, we picked you up today, but your bin was overloaded. And most of the time, okay, well, thanks for the call. A lot of times, our bin wasn't overloaded. But then we can send them a picture of that bin that was overloaded. So we're getting there, and I think on the residential side, we'll be there too, where we'll have everything. You know how this world is now. Everything's mobile, so.
Everything's mobile, yes.
Yeah.
And just to build briefly on what Nick said about our driver training, he is correct. What we have is an initiative called UWS Route Watch, and our drivers get to become subject matter experts on the routes they service, and so they'll notice, if they're doing a rollout and the little lady who stands at the front door and waves at them isn't there. And, if they're concerned, they'll definitely call that in. Several months ago, we actually had our drivers come across a situation where one of our elderly customers had fallen down, and he was able to call for emergency assistance and waited with her and fed her dogs for her because she was worried that she hadn't been able to do that morning. And so we very much are very community oriented.
Thank you.
I had a few questions. How many, we have 2 vested employees. How many other employees do we have?
5. There's a total of 7.
Is that a total of how many?
7.
Okay, does that include those who've been driving for recycling pickup?
Yes, they're all included. We have not let anybody go since we...
Okay. So I was reading that you propose to offer positions to all of the sanitation employees. Does that include those people who have been driving recycling trucks as well?
Yes. Yes, our goal is to keep all 5. That would be perfect for us, is to keep all 5 of the employees. We might do some retraining. We have a team of people that we'll send to different locations if we have drivers that we just think they need to be trained a little tighter, they need to be watched a little bit more. So our goal would be hire all 5. We don't want anyone to lose their jobs over this.
Okay.
And do retraining, different trucks possibly, whatever, but the goal is definitely to keep everybody.
Okay. Do those drivers have, what kind of benefits packages would they have?
Well, they have full insurance for themselves and their families, and a 401k. We match up to 4.5% of whatever they put in. So we have dental, vision, we have everything. And they'll all be able to use those services.
I was noticing that in another part of this, it says that we will advertise for all available positions, hire employees, and begin training. So does that mean you're going to be hiring more than our current 7 or 5 people that we have?
I don't think so. We definitely need to look for a mechanic or 2. That's if we have to reach out. If we have to go through our background, we have to go through our regular system. If somebody failed a background test or a drug test or whatever it might be, then we might have to advertise. But our goal is to maintain who we have.
Yeah, Mayor, I think it's important that we make sure that everybody knows that these employees aren't guaranteed a position. It's not a right. They still have to work and do the job to.
Of course. But in the proposal, it says you will hire the current people, unless I read that wrong. These, we propose to offer positions to all sanitation employees currently employed by the town of Silver City. I guess that's the point that I'm wondering
Yes.
about.
And that's what we totally intend to do. And as long as they pass all the...
Sure, drug
Yes,
test.
yeah, they're in, yeah. We definitely want to do that.
Okay. You want to do that, but you will do that if they meet all the...
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilor Ray, you had a question? Any other questions or comments? Thank you all very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Brown, did you want to make any additional comments? Or?
I think I'm done with that.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's see where we're at here. We just had questions or comments from the council. Do we have any questions or comments from the general public? I don't see many of the general public here, but now's an opportunity. There being none, do I hear a motion? Oh, okay.
Just really quick.
Hi, my name is Sonia Ray. I am from here, from Silver. I just have a question. I do understand that you say that you have a customer service phone number. Does that include after hours? Because I work at Central Dispatch and we receive calls for utilities. So my question is, are you guys going to be available after hours, or is it still going to be through us?
We currently have the capacity to take messages. Thank you for your question. Currently, we take messages after hours, and we also have a website with a service email address. So those are checked first thing every morning when we come in. And so, if there are any emergencies, though, you will have key contacts that if it's something that you need to reach us immediately, we'll be responsive immediately. But typically, we just rely on our voicemail and our emails that are checked every morning and several times throughout the day.
Thank you. Okay, do I hear a motion? Was there a motion made yet? Councilor Kano?
Move to approve of resolution number 2019-26, a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract between the town and Universal Waste Systems LLC for the collection, transport, and disposal of solid waste and recyclables.
Okay, is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion as stated.
Motion and second. Any other comments or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
I think it's a roll call to resolution.
Roll call, please, Ann.
Councilor Kano.
Aye.
Councilor Ray.
Aye.
Councilor Ainsmith.
Aye.
Councilor Madison.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move for a short break.
Okay, let me hear a motion to have a short break.
I second that motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We will adjourn in about 5 minutes. I'm calling us back to order. Next item on the agenda is 11D, is that right? The approval/disapproval of resolution number 2019-22, a resolution amending the approved and adopted budget for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2019, and for municipal purpose in the town of Silver City, New Mexico, transferring and appropriating funds thereof. Mr. Brown?
Mayor, Council, these are the final year transfers. We actually didn't have to do any temporary transfers, so these are actual transfers, budget adjustments to what actually happened this last year. Page 1, the DFA decided that they no longer wanted to allow us to directly deposit when we get our gross receipts, we usually receive the debt service payment into the debt service fund. They don't want us to do that anymore. They want us to receive all the gross receipts taxes into the general fund, then transfer it out. So that's what page 1 is about, to reverse the transfers and transfer them out to... reverse the revenue and do transfers. The following pages are increases to revenue, is page 2, for all the different funds. And then page 3 is increases and decreases to expenditures that happen throughout the year in the different funds. And the last page is transfers, changes and transfers to different funds. Do you have any questions on anything specific?
No questions or comments?
There was no, basically in the overall, most of these are because of changes that the state wants. It's not any
Council
real
Ray,
change to
no
what was
no comments or questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, very good. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Council Ray?
Council Mayor, Linda A. Smith.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilor. I move to approve of resolution number 2019-22, a resolution amending the approved and adopted budget for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019, and for municipal purpose in the town of Silver City, New Mexico, transferring and appropriating funds thereof.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second that.
Motion and a second. Are there any other comments or questions or discussion on the council? Roll call, please, Ann.
Councilor Edison?
Aye.
Councilor Amy Smith?
Aye.
Councilor Ryan?
Aye.
Councilor Khan?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item is 11E, the approval/disapproval of resolution number 2019-23, final quarter financial report year ending June 30, 2019. It's your show again, Mr. Brown.
This is the final quarterly report. No, it's the actual quarterly report because there's no temporary transfers. I think these end up being the beginning balances for our next resolution, the final budget. And so I think if you look at this, the only real change is that we did end up with the larger ending cash balance in the general fund, which was projected about $800,000. We're at $1,066,000. And with that, any questions?
No questions or comments? Okay, do I hear a motion? Councilor Bedison?
I move to approve of resolution number 2019-23, final quarter financial report year ending June 30, 2019.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Smith?
Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Ann.
Councilor Edison?
Aye.
Councilor Amy Smith?
Aye.
Councilor Ryan?
Aye.
Councilor Khan?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next is item 11E, the approval/disapproval of resolution number 2019-24, approval and adoption of the budget for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020. Mr. Brown?
This budget is the exact same budget that we presented to you at the preliminary, as a preliminary budget, except for two changes. Three. We updated the beginning cash balances. Number two is, as we discussed in the preliminary budget, when we approved all the union contracts, all the union increases, at that point, I wasn't ready to look at an increase for the exempt employees. But once we saw the final ending cash balances and updated projected revenues for next year, there is a 4% increase for the exempt employees included in this final budget. Number two is the transfers. We did not have the transfers from the general fund into the debt service for the Finance Authority loans. They are included now. So the transfers from the general fund out to those so you'll see that the transfers out increases, and that's just for the debt service. But revenue also increased because we received the gross receipts revenue into the general fund. And with that, do you have any questions?
No questions? Do I hear a motion? Councilor Kano?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution for 2019-24, approval and adoption of the budget for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
Is there a second? Councilor Ray?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second it.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Ms. Mackey.
Councilor Kano? Aye. Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Amos Smith? Aye. Councilor Bedison?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. The next item is 11...
Mayor, can I just say,
Sure.
I just want to give Anita and the finance staff a big thank you for all the hard work that they do during this budgeting process. It's come down to the point where she does all the work, I just tell her where to move the numbers to, and that's it. So I just appreciate all the work that these guys do.
The town is really fortunate to have you and all of your staff. Thank you so much for all of your service. Next item is 11G, the approval/disapproval of the selection of a voting delegate and an alternate to vote at the New Mexico Municipal League's annual conference. Attending this year's annual conference will be me as mayor, councilor and mayor pro tem, and president-elect of the New Mexico Municipal League, Councilor Bedison, and Councilor Kano. In the past, I have served as a voting delegate, and I will be happy to continue to do so. And Councilor Bedison has indicated a willingness to serve as alternate, but we will be open to any motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Amos Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we have our mayor, Penny Rado, as our voting delegate, and our mayor pro tem, Cynthia Bedison, as the alternate.
Thank you. I have a motion. Is there a second? Councilor Ray?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. And this concludes the business of the town of Silver City. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are hereby adjourned.